But the first retirement of the race came before the start, when Nasser's Sauber got stuck in 6th gear on the way to the grid. It's a fast-flowing track, and its high-speed corners allow for plenty of overtaking. The Mercedes didn't make the most of the clear track, but the Williams pair made lightning starts. Massa rocketed into the lead, while Bottas had his hands full with Hamilton. Felipe pulled away, while Lewis found his feet. But the Lotuses and McLarens were in trouble. It was a scene that the Williams team was more than happy to relive. Verstappen had started 13th and got a good view of the mayhem ahead. Ricciardo made contact with Grosjean, who hit Maldonado, while the two McLarens also collided. Button saw his teammate avoid the crashing Lotuses, but he couldn't avoid Jensen, who became an instant retirement. He wasn't the only one.
Switch the car off, Pastor, switch the car off.
And Grosjean faced a lonely walk back from turn 3. The safety car came in at the end of lap 3, and straight away Hamilton attacked Massa for the lead. But he ran wide at Vale, and Bottas struck back and grabbed second. Hamilton was on the back foot, and he had to repel his teammate, who was being hounded by Hulkenberg. Verstappen had avoided the lap 1 chaos, but he had his own situation on lap 4.
Okay with the car, Max? The reverse is not working. Okay, kill the engine, kill the engine, kill the engine.
Okay, Felipe, this is good. So we are not racing with your teammate. Let's pull away together. We need to pull away together from the Mercs. Instruction, no racing your teammate for now. Do not race your teammate.
I have no place.
Copy. No racing for now. We'll keep you advised.
By lap 9, Williams faced a dilemma.
Can I overtake? I can do it in the back straight.
The team considered his request.
Tell me.
Yes.
Repeat.
Yes, you can.
Valtteri pulled alongside, but couldn't make the pass.
That was too late.
While Claire and Frank Williams looked on, Massa was being warned about his teammates' intentions.
Okay, Felipe, so Valtteri is going to try and attack you on the back straight. He will try and attack you with DRS. It has to be a very clean move, and you need to pull away when you're in front.
With Massa forewarned, Bottas never got another chance. Mercedes tried to trick Williams into stopping early by sending their mechanics rushing out into the pit lane at the end of lap 14. But they didn't fall for it, and their cars remained on track. By lap 19, Mercedes were ready to bring Hamilton in for real.
Okay, so box, Just pick confirm.
Can I do the opposite or not?
Negative. Just box, regardless.
Hamilton headed down the pit lane. But when would Williams respond?
Okay, so Massa's in now, all to play for.
Both Massa and Rosberg were in on the following lap. It was going to be very close.
Okay, Felipe, traffic, Mercedes, traffic.
With the inside line as they approached pit exit, Massa had the advantage and kept it. But Hamilton had done enough on his outlap to jump ahead and would take the lead once Bottas had made his stop. The outlook was bleak for Toro Rosso when Sainz coasted to a halt from 9th. A suspected electrical problem was to blame. Dark clouds now covered the circuit and rain was predicted.
Getting pretty dark.
Okay, copy that, Lewis. Something's on its way.
It certainly was, but it only fell on parts of the circuit. At the northern end, it was very slippery. Bottas and Rosberg tiptoed down the old pit straight. But a twitch from Valtteri at Copse was the ray of sunshine that Nico was looking for, and it allowed him to power past.
Good job, Nico, good job. Just close down Massa.
But that wasn't all they had to worry about.
So rain could get heavier in about 5 minutes.
The Williams struggled in the damp conditions. Rosberg easily took second and set his sights on Hamilton.
Excellent job, Nico, excellent job. So still be damp, expecting rain shortly.
I've got no grip on these tyres, guys.
Ready.
Box this up.
Ready for you, box.
The mechanics raced out, but as Hamilton headed for the pit lane, parts of the track still looked very dry.
Hamilton is coming in, update on tires and conditions.
More rain. Box.
Okay, box.
Neither Williams stopped yet, and as Lewis changed onto the green-walled intermediates, it didn't seem very wet in the pit lane. Had he gambled too soon? But as Vettel approached his crew, the rain had increased.
Keep me updated on the rain, what do you think?
So box, pit confirm, heavy rain, turn 15, and in the pit lane, box, RS. Just heavy rain here, just take it easy, and it'll be slippery in pit lane and box.
The extra lap on slicks on a wet track had cost Rosberg dear. As he left with his intermediate tyres, Hamilton was already through the first corner to the delight of his home crowd. Nico was second, some 9 seconds behind. While a nicely timed stop for Vettel had boosted his afternoon after starting just 6th.
Okay, you are in front of Massa and Bottas. P3 at the moment, well done.
Hamilton had weathered the storm. The packed grandstands erupted as he took his 3rd British Grand Prix victory.
Get in there, Lewis. Great race, mates, great race. Fantastic win.
Great job, guys. I'm so happy with that. Thank you to all the fans that coming. That one was for you. Thank you.
Just 13 cars made it to the checkered flag. Vettel was happy with 3rd, but things didn't quite go to plan for Williams. Kvyat was an impressive 6th ahead of Hulkenberg and Raikkonen, and Alonso scored his first point of the season. Hamilton had increased the buffer between him and Rosberg. Bottas leapt up to 4th ahead of his compatriot. Mercedes looked unstoppable, with more points than Ferrari and Williams combined. His third win at Silverstone saw him equal Jim Clark and Nigel Mansell's record for wins by a British driver at this circuit. But he couldn't have done it without the hard work from his team. The home win meant so much. It had been an incredible run. Mercedes had finished every race this year with both drivers on the podium.
I'm incredibly proud, to see the British flag up there and to know that it was right behind me as well. I've got 2 Germans who did a great job and who could have easily taken that spot, and to have delivered for all the fans, which was really my goal today.
Hungarian Grand Prix, the sad news came that Jules Bianchi had passed away after succumbing to the injuries he sustained at the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. Many of the drivers had been close to Jules and reflected on their friend.
There's a lot of memory, but as you said, I think the big one is the smile of Jules. Always being happy, always having something funny to tell you. He was a great man. More than he was a fantastic driver, but he was a big man.
For how competitive and let's say highly regarded he was very humble, and just a really nice demeanour about him. And I had some nights out with him as well, and he was good fun.
He left such a mark in the sport, and it's someone that in his short career will be remembered forever.
A minute's silence was observed in memory of Jules, while the drivers stood alongside his family to pay tribute to the Marussia driver. Final systems checks and adjustments were made on the formation lap. But as the grid took shape, Massa had stopped well short of his 8th place slot. The start was aborted and the field sent around for another warm-up lap. Everyone found their correct position at the 2nd attempt. But a slow start from pole sitter Hamilton allowed Vettel to pull ahead. Kvyat locked up his Red Bull into turn 1, while Raikkonen made a decisive move round the outside to claim 3rd. 5th place Ricciardo banged wheels with Bottas and slipped back. Now Raikkonen hugged the inside and moved up into 2nd to make it a Ferrari 1-2. Keen to make up for his poor start, Hamilton tried to overtake Rosberg at the chicane, but a wheel on the grass left him trudging through the gravel. He rejoined ahead of Massa, but had to concede 9th place and put the blame at his teammate's door.
He got crossed over my line there. Push me wide.
At the end of lap 1, Vettel led from Raikkonen, then it was Rosberg, Bottas, Kvyat and Hulkenberg. The Force India honed in on Daniil. And left the Russian to fend off his teammate. Claire Williams had watched Massa restrain Hamilton for 9 laps, but the Mercedes finally muscled past for 10th. With passing difficult at the Hungaroring, turn 1 saw a lot of action. Perez tried to pass Maldonado, but it didn't pan out.
What did he do, man? I gave him enough space.
Understood. understood. We saw you gave Maldonado all the space. We will talk to Charlie.
Lap 20, and Hamilton was in for his first stop. He took another set of the yellow-walled soft tyres. Rosberg stopped next time around, but he changed onto a set of the white medium tyres. Vettel pitted the lap after that, and like Hamilton, he took on the softs. Lewis had made up ground and was still on the attack. He breezed past Ricciardo for fourth. As the second stops approached, Rosberg seemed more focused on Hamilton behind than Raikkonen ahead.
So, Nico, we need to find some more lap time. Lewis will be going to the prime tyre and possibly earlier than you.
I'll go to the prime as well then.
Nico, at the moment, the pit wall are not inclined to do that.
Ferrari's comfortable 1-2 started to unravel on lap 42.
I think I have some hot sound in the car and I'm losing power.
We have an issue with the MGUK at the minute.
While Hülkenberg chased Bottas for sixth.
Something broke at the front.
Okay. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay, mate. Unlucky.
Something had indeed broken. His front wing went under the car and showered debris all over the track. The virtual safety car was deployed. Rosberg dived straight into the pits, but the tyres ready for him were the mediums, not the faster softs. Leader Vettel and fourth-placed Hamilton had only used soft tyres so far, so were obliged to change onto the mediums. Now the safety car came out, and Vettel's lead was wiped out.
Okay, Nico, there is a chance we can win this. We think there is a chance we can win this. So Kimi has a power unit problem. We should be able to pass him pretty quickly.
Without his hybrid electrical power, Raikkonen was easily passed by Rosberg, while fifth-placed Ricciardo went for the outside of Hamilton.
Hamilton hit me pretty hard.
I lost my wing. Really got no in front of him. I just understeered into him.
Lewis was given a drive-through penalty and had Bottas, Kvyat and Verstappen bottled up behind him. Daniil repelled Valtteri but went off track to get Lewis. Then Bottas and Verstappen got too close for comfort.
I was in the inside, but Bottas suddenly just turned in. I have damage, I have understeer.
Max carried on and no further action was taken. While Bottas limped back to the pits with a puncture. Hamilton came in for a new nose and took the opportunity to change to soft tyres. Raikkonen's lack of power left him helpless to stop both Red Bulls going past him into third and fourth. Ferrari brought Kimi into the pits for a restart. And sent him out again. But the problem was too serious and he was forced to retire just 3 laps later. The Lotus pair of Maldonado and Grosjean battled Massa for 9th. Romain ahead, clung on and sealed the deal. While McLaren were having their best race of the season, Alonso passed Sainz for 6th with 15 laps to go. It was a positive sign for the pit wall at last. Red Bull's decision to use the medium tyres in the middle of the race looked to have paid off. Ricciardo, now on the soft tyres, had closed on the two medium-shod cars ahead of him. And with just 6 laps to go, he set himself up for a bold lunge down the inside of Rosberg. But contact was made.
Puncture. Copy, just bring it in.
Ricciardo pitted for a new nose without losing third, but it was now his teammate who was second. Hamilton knew there was still everything to play for, and with 3 laps to go, he passed Grosjean for 6th. But nothing could stop Vettel. He took his second victory of the season after a masterful drive.
Yes, Sebastian, yes! P1, another flag in Maranello, well done!
Grazie ragazzi, grazie. Mi sentite? Mi sentite? Forza Ferrari e un'altra bandiera in Maranello. Et merci Jules, cette victoire est pour toi. You will always be in our hearts. We know that sooner or later Jules would have been a part of this team. Grazie guys.
Despite a 10-second penalty for gaining an advantage when he overtook Hamilton off track, Kvyat finished second, his first ever podium and Red Bull's first of the season. But the day belonged to 4-time world champion Vettel and to Ferrari on an emotional day for many in the team. After 10 races, Sebastian was only 7 points short of his total score in 2014, his last year with Red Bull. Despite a penalty for speeding behind the safety car, Verstappen was an incredible 4th ahead of Alonso. It was a scrappy race for Hamilton, but he still came home 6th ahead of Grosjean. Rosberg missed an opportunity to close on Hamilton and had allowed Vettel to reduce the gap. Verstappen had made progress, while Alonso's 5th was a much-needed boost for McLaren. Sebastian Vettel was left to reflect on his 41st win, equalling the great Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, it's difficult to put in words. I think Ayrton is not remembered for his wins and for his championships, but for his style, and it's unique. So I think we all have to find our own way, but it's a privilege and an honor to have the chance to be close to him, at least if you look at some of the numbers.
You talk of having your own style. You have...
We were thinking about retiring the car after during the first stint. Then we had to make an early pit stop, which compromised our strategy and everything. But then it was getting better and better through the race. It was hard race, but yeah, it's never give up. That's what I learned today.
5th is a little present for us in this moment. We are not super competitive, so the race was a little bit chaotic in some parts of it, and we took the advantage that came to us, and we maximized the result.
At the end of what's been a very difficult half a season, a little ray of light perhaps going into this mid-season break?
Yeah, definitely. Not much for us, I think for the whole team. People at the factory working 24 hours a day just to keep updating the car, and to get some results, to touch really some points is good way to go on the break, and in the second part of the season we need to maximize the performance, to increase our level, because we need to get some good preparation for next year.
Sunshine in Spa-Francorchamps welcomed Formula One back into action after the summer break, and there was a big shake-up to the rules regarding start procedures for the drivers and teams to contend with.
Belgian Grand Prix sees the introduction of new rules regarding race starts, which is going to increase the variability and make unpredictable getaways, such as we saw in Budapest and Silverstone, much more commonplace. The drivers will be solely responsible for race starts, which means basically the drivers have to prepare the clutch settings for the start themselves, without help from their team engineers over the radio in the vital moments before the race.
So learn first and eighth gears, learn first and eighth gears.
Go to bite point 9 and keep cooling the car.
Learn all gears, learn all gears.
So the pressure is on the drivers to get it right and to feel the clutch. Inevitably, that will make the starts less uniform, as up until now, the cars have tended to all get away at more or less the same rate. Here's how it works. A Formula One car has 2 clutch paddles. For the race start, the driver holds in the master paddle fully, while the other one is set to the exact bite point, which will get the car moving. To start, he revs to around 6,000 RPM, releases the master clutch, and then releases the second one, which is set at that perfect bite point, and the car gets away smoothly. Teams go to great lengths to get this right, because they're trying to avoid 3 bad things from happening. Wheel spin, the car bogging down on getaway with low revs, and also clutch slip, all of which lose vital time and track positions. The problem is that although Formula One clutches are very strong, they're also very sensitive to temperature, and that means they're unpredictable. The bite point is inconsistent and not easy to find. That's why drivers practice starts at the pit lane exit throughout the race weekend, so the engineers can work out the best bite point for the race. The crucial final check is when the driver pulls away for the formation lap, as this is where the team can monitor the clutch's performance on the telemetry. They then instruct the driver precisely where to set the clutch for the actual race start.
So bite point 7, we're gonna need 5 burnouts.
This will no longer be allowed from Belgium onwards. The driver will have to work it all out for himself, and nothing can be changed on the clutch once he leaves the pit lane before the race. Well, all of this is great news for fans because it means a vital skill is being handed back to the driver rather than being controlled from the pit wall.
Rosberg found himself shockingly out of control in Friday's second practice when his rear tyre failed on one of the fastest sections of the track. After investigations by Pirelli, it was concluded that there were no signs of a structural integrity issue of the tyre. Nevertheless, it was a very dramatic incident. And Pirelli stated that the problem was consistent with an external cut into the tyre structure. Raikkonen struggled on Saturday. Low oil pressure brought his qualifying to a halt in Q2, and following a gearbox change, he would line up a lowly 16th on the grid. A loss of power on the formation lap for Hulkenberg meant the start was aborted. He was pushed to the pits to retire. After another formation lap, the grid took shape once again. And when the lights went out, pole-sitter Hamilton made a great start. Perez propelled himself forward from 4th, while a slow-starting Rosberg was engulfed. Hamilton led Perez, Ricciardo and Bottas, while Rosberg took back 5th from Vettel in the run towards Eau Rouge. Lewis was aggressive on the exit, but Checo was on a push. He had a look down the Kemmel Straight, but Lewis clung on to the inside line and stayed ahead. By the end of the first lap, Rosberg was in full-blown recovery mode and took on Bottas into the final chicane. He slithered wide, but clung on to 4th. They continued their battle, but both locked up and ran wide at La Source. That allowed Sebastian to pull alongside Nico and for Pastor to challenge Bottas. Plunging down towards Eau Rouge, the Lotus was right behind the Williams. But as they crested the rise, Maldonado had a big excursion across the curbs, and that put an end to his race. Lap 8, Grosjean in the other Lotus continued his fight back from a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change and overtook Bottas for 5th. But Valtteri was due in for his first stop. His team was poised and ready. But there seemed to be some confusion. And it was clear to see why. The team had fitted a white medium tyre to the right rear and yellow soft tyres everywhere else.
We have a drive-through penalty issue with tyres.
What was the issue?
Your right rear is a prime tyre, all others are option.
The team was distraught. Back on track, the battle for 11th between Verstappen and Nasser had closed right up. At over 300 kilometers per hour, Max made his presence felt at Blanchimont before making the move stick into the final chicane. The first Mercedes to pit was Rosberg on lap 12. And it had paid off. He emerged third ahead of Perez and Ricciardo, who'd stopped earlier on. Daniel hunted down the Force India, but overcooked it. Their battle was short-lived. As Perez pitted, the Red Bull switched itself off and ground to a halt. The abandoned car meant the virtual safety car was deployed and left Vettel to consider his strategic options.
Think about if it makes sense stopping for an option.
Okay, stay out, we look into it.
Vettel stayed out, but many of the drivers used the opportunity to make their second stops, including Grosjean, who went on to a set of the mediums. Lap 23 and the racing resumed. Hamilton gave himself breathing space over Nico and Sebastian. So there were no concerns when he switched back to the softs on lap 30. Kvyat had found good pace on his soft tyres. Raikkonen's mediums were past their best, and Daniil launched his attack on the Kemmel Straight to take 7th. Perez was in front of Massa, Kvyat and Raikkonen, but now a lapped Button had closed on the group.
Oh, these guys are going slow in front. Even we're catching them. I think they're making a mistake not pitting. It's so much quicker on new tyres.
It was a tense time for Red Bull. But Kvyat didn't disappoint. He repeated his Kemmel Straight move on Massa for 6th.
That's why you do it.
On to the next one.
The next time round it was Perez. Now Daniil was promoted to 5th. Grosjean was also looking racy. He'd reduced the gap to third-placed Vettel. Sebastian had made his one and only stop on lap 14 for the medium tyres. Now on lap 42 he was under real pressure from Romain.
You saw what happened?
Yeah, copy.
Tires were on the limit, yes, but for f***'s sake.
There were no last lap dramas for Mercedes. Hamilton took the victory, just 2 seconds ahead of Rosberg. After Vettel's dramatic retirement, Grosjean finished an emotional third.
Fantastic job, mate. Fantastic job. P3, well done, well done. Strat 2, Top 12, coming to the pit lane, remember. Follow. That's incredible. One of the best race of your career, mate. Incredible. Incredible. I'm so proud.
Well done, you're a star. You're a superstar.
Fantastic. Well done, mate.
It was business as usual for Hamilton. This was now his 6th win of the season. And the first podium since USA 2013 felt like a win for Lotus. Kvyat was an excellent 4th after starting 12th. Perez had hoped for more after a stunning start, while Ericsson secured the final point ahead of his teammate. Hamilton edged further away from Rosberg, whilst the late retirement dented Vettel's hopes. Raikkonen and Massa were now level on points, and Kvyat jumped ahead of Ricciardo. Grosjean's podium was a big boost for Lotus, but 5th for Perez kept Force India in the running. For Romain, though, it must have felt like he was on cloud 9.
Yeah, I think so. I'm still not landing on the hair, so I don't understand what happened to us. It has been a brilliant weekend, a really good qualifying yesterday. Then we got the grid penalty, and then we had a wonderful race, a lot of overtaking maneuver, good strategy. I was a bit lucky with Seb having his blow off, so that gave me the position easier than having an overtaking maneuver. But for me, for the guys, for the team, for everyone, it's unbelievable.
Sometimes you wonder if a good thing is followed by another good thing. I had an amazing holiday, and I'm thinking, is it gonna, coming in this weekend, is it gonna follow? Is that happiness and that joy gonna follow? And it has. Qualifying was ridiculous, and then today is the race. Yeah, I was happy with it. I did what I had to do. There was no point in which I felt I had to over-push or overdrive, and just look after the car. The balance was really nice, so I'm really happy with the outcome.
The middle stint for you on the harder tyre, you had really great times in comparison to Lewis. Did you feel at that moment the race could have come to you?
Yeah, but then in the end he pulled away, so it was just I was good in the beginning, then he was good in the end, and it was pretty close. I was coming closer, but not enough.
Vettel had completed over half of the race on his medium tyres, which exceeded Pirelli's 2013 proposal that recommended a maximum of 50% of the Grand Prix distance for the prime tyre.
Sebastian, were Ferrari being a little bit too greedy in the end, do you think?
No.
So you were happy with the decision and you wanted to stay out? You could have got to the end, you felt?
Well, how many laps I was missing? Not many. And things like that are not allowed to happen, full stop. If it happens 200 meters earlier, I'm not standing here now. I'm with 300 stuck in Eau Rouge, so I don't know what else needs to happen. Yeah.
So in that case, so you're obviously upset that the tyre went in that way, but you'd run it for 27.
What is upsetting? Upsetting is that one thing is the result. This is racing. For sure, we deserve to finish on the podium. But the other thing, as I said, if this happens earlier, then I think it's a sort of theme that keeps going around. Nobody's mentioning it, but it's unacceptable.
Sebastian was clearly upset by the incident, and the investigation would continue in the run-up to the Italian Grand Prix.